Hello everyone, you're welcome to All Maths with Feyi. In today's video, I'll be teaching you Roman numeral formation using the family rules and structure in Roman numeral. We're going to be filling these numbers, accordingly as it applies to the rules of Roman numeral. If you have a way of writing out this number for you to be able to follow on, you can do so. So let me start by introducing you to the alphabet letters that are used in Roman numeral. We have letter I representing 1, V representing 5, X representing 10, L representing 50, C representing 100, D representing 500, and M representing 1000. Now, what I want to mention here is note I divided this alphabet, these numbers, into two groups. We have the family of ones and the family of 5. The family of ones are I, X, C, and M, representing 1, 10, 100, and 1000 respectively. The family of 5s are V, L, and D, representing 5, 50, and 500 respectively. Pay attention to this because we're going to be using these family rules even in the formation system. I also came up with a sentence to help us remember these letters. I visited Xavier looking carefully during March. You can make do with this, or you even come up with your own sentence which could help you to remember these letters. Now let's fill in the ones we already know, right? Okay, we already know our 1 is I. We know our V is 5. We know our X is 10. We already know our 50 is L. We know our 100 is C. We know our 500 is D. And we know our 1000 is M. I visited Xavier looking carefully during March. So let's go to the next family row. In this family row, I call it, we have the family of 1 and the family of 5s. Now, only the family of 1s can have twins and triplets. Our families of 1 are 1, I, X, C, and M. If you remember, your V, D, and L, they belong to the family of 5. They don't belong to this family, so they cannot have twin and triplets. For the family of 1I, you can have twin II, which is 2. We can have triplets III, which is 3. You can have for X, you can have XX20, XXX 30. C, you can have CC, which is the twin 200, CCC, which is the triplet 300. That applies also to M. But remember, the family of 5 cannot take a twin or a triplet. So knowing this, we're going to use this to continue to fill in our table. For the family of 1I, it can have a twin, right? It can have a twin, which is what II. That's 1 and 1, 2, right? So what would be the triplets? I, 1, another I, making 2, another I, making 3, right? So can you have VV? No, it's a family of 5. So there's also like VV, 5 plus 5, it is not taken. So the next family of 1 is what? X, good. So we can have X can take 2, right? If you have X and X, which it will be what? 10 plus 10, which is 20. It can take a triplet also, right? X, 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 which is 30. L is a family of 5. It cannot take a twin nor a triplet. So we move to C, which is another family of 1. So we can have what? C, C, which is what? 100 plus another 100, giving us 200. D is a family of 5. It cannot take a twin or a triplet. M is another family of 1, which is 1000, and it can take a twin, which is MM, and a triplet, M, M, and m, giving us 3000. So let's move on to another rule in Roman numeral. Now this rule says when you have a smaller number after a bigger one, you add them together. It's similar to what we have done during the twin and the triplet rule, right? Like you have LXX, which is what? 50, 10, 10. This is a smaller number coming after a bigger one. So you add them together, 50 plus 10 plus 10, giving you 70. You can have a bigger number C and another smaller number 10, which is what? 100 plus smaller number 10, and you come up with your 110, right? So let's use this rule to fill in some values in our table. If you apply this rule here, V, right, is a bigger number, right? So if you add the smaller number, which is what? High to it, it's giving us what? 5. Are you following me? Plus 1, which is what? 6. Okay. So let's apply the twin and triplets. You know, of course, I is a family of 1 that can have twin and triplets. So you can have V high, giving you 5 plus 1 plus 1, which is what? 7. We can have V high, 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which will give us 8. Remember, family of 1 cannot be 4, so we cannot have V I. So we stop this here. Let's look for another bigger number. Of course, you know you can have X and high, giving you 11, and so with this you can form many other numbers. But let's work with what we have on the screen. For L, you can have L and what? A smaller number V, which is 50. L is 50, remember that, and V is what? 5. Yes, you're following me. L is 50 and V is 5. Added them together, you have a 55. You can also have L with another smaller number, which is what? X, right? L X X 50, L X X X. You can form 51, which is L and what? High, right? You can form 56 now, which is L, then you come for the 6, VII, and you have formed your 56. I'm still going to make a video where I will teach you how to convert any number from, you know, the normal Arabic number to Roman numeral. This is just to introduce you to the family structure in Roman numeral. So let's look for another bigger number here. That's D, right? If we bring it, our C to it, which is a smaller number, that's 500 plus 100, giving us 600. It can also have its own twin, 500 plus what? 200. And you can have what? 500 plus 300, giving you your 800. Let's go to another important rule in Roman numeral formation, which is the subtraction rule. This is very important, and it is a rule that really calls for care and attention. When a smaller number comes before a bigger number in Roman numeral, we subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. Like we have here now, this is 10. This time around, 10 is coming before 50. So it's not going to be addition as we treated in the previous rule, but it's going to be subtraction. So you'll be taking 10 away from 50, giving us 40. Now, the first thing to note here is that you cannot have twins and triplets of smaller numbers behind a bigger number. You know, we've talked about how the family of ones can have twin and triplets, right? But that twin and triplets cannot come behind a bigger number, meaning that you cannot have x behind L. You cannot have the twin of 10 and say it is 10 minus 50 minus 10 minus 10. It's not taking. You can only have one. That's a very important rule to first take note of in subtraction of Roman numeral. Now let's take a look at even what are those ones you can even subtract. Let's start with the family of 5. Remember our family members, which are 5, 50 and 500, cannot be written behind a bigger number. So you cannot have VL, for instance, and say it is 5 minus 50. No, it is not allowed. So all the family of 5, you cannot have them behind any number and subtract it. No. So that means only the family of 1 can be written behind a number, and that also have a order. So I'm going to be putting you through those order. The first is that the symbol I representing 1 can only be subtracted from V and X, meaning that you can only have IV. So what will IV be? IB will be what? 5 minus 1. Remember 1 is coming behind 5. So your IV is what? 4. Good. Also, your I can also come behind X, right? This is 1 and this is 10. So when a smaller number comes behind a bigger number, you subtract it. So what are you having? You're having 10 minus 1, which is 9. The meaning is that you cannot have IL. So I can only come behind V and it can only come behind X. You cannot even have IC. No, all these are not allowed. You cannot have ID. All of them, they are not permitted. No, no, no. Also, coming to another family of 1, X. X can only come behind L and C, meaning that yes, you can have XL, which is 10, right, coming behind 50. We've done this in the previous slide, giving us 50 minus 10, and that is what? 40. Yes. And you can also have X to come behind C, right, which is giving us, this is 10 coming behind 100, which is giving us 100 minus 10, and that is what? 90. You cannot have XD and say it is 500 minus 10. No, it is not allowed. It is a no. So remember, X can only come behind L and C. Last rule here is that what? C can only come behind D and M. So you can have CD. What will CD be? Let me leave you to break that down yourself. And of course, you should be able to arrive at what CD will give us 400. And C can also come behind M. And CM should give us 900. So you can see, as a matter of fact, these are the 6 numbers you can form using subtraction rule in Roman numeral. So let's use that to fill in our table. Remember our table here. So we now have what? IV. We have IX. We have X coming behind L, and X can also come behind C. C can come behind D to give us what? 400, right? And C can come behind M to give us 900. But remember, L50 cannot come behind D. So this will not be written as LD. I intentionally put this there for a clearer explanation. So this cannot be written as LD. D? No. Rather, how do we write 450? Now that we know our 400 is CD, then the 50 can be what? L. As I said earlier, I'm going to have a video where I will teach you how to convert any number now, any number at random, not just numbers ending with zeros, at random, from Arabic numeral to Roman numeral and vice versa. I believe you are expecting that video. See you when I post it. So the last rule I'm going to be mentioning in Roman numeral formation is that our stop at 3,000. So how do we write 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, 100,000 in Roman numeral? Actually, there are no alphabets representing them, but when you put a bar over a number, it means you are multiplying the number by 1,000. Meaning that in Roman numeral, if I have my V, which is 5, right, with a bar, is representing 5 multiplied by 1,000, which is what? 5,000. So that's how you write bigger number. Actually, this is one of the flaws in Roman numeral, in that it doesn't have a representation for bigger numbers, and also it doesn't have a representation for zero. Those are the two flaws in Roman numeral, why it's not being used often as we use Arabic numeral. Like when we are writing 10,000, you have to write your x10 and what? And a bar. So it will be what? 10 multiplied by 1,000. So she's giving us 10,000. So every number you want, if you want to write, let's say 15,000 will be what? XV, and everything with a bar. So let's use that to complete our table here. So for our 4,000 will be what? 4 now, we've written 4, which is what? High V with a bar. Our 5,000 will be V with a bar. Our 10,000 will be X with a bar. I leave this 990. So having followed this video to this extent, how do you write 990 in Roman numeral? Is it going to be XM, or is going to be 900 and 90? Let me hear from you. Which do you think is the correct way of representing 990 in Roman numeral?